That's why. You guys should hear us now. All right. I apologize. You guys probably missed everything I just said. I certainly apologize. Today's situation is it's just me and Bianca, and she's taking care of the baby. So I apologize. So let me just restart from the beginning. Today's title, as it's seen in the video, is the value of inequality. And it's a lot easier to show what something isn't and use working definitions to define things than to tell you what something is. So using the Merriam-Webster dictionary, I'm going to use the working definition of 1A, B, and C. And those definitions go as follows. And okay, everyone's good. Those definitions go as follows. Social disparity, disparity of distribution or opportunity, and lack of evenness. That is the working definition using Webster's dictionary examples 1A, B, and C. Using the scriptures, I want to jump to the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 35 and 36. And this to me is the primary example of what equality / fairness is, using the scriptures, of course. So jump into Leviticus chapter 19, verse 35 and 36. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, mishpah, in measurement of length, in weight, or in measuring liquids. Verse 36. Just balances, just weights. A just ephah, which is another unit of measurement, and a just hin shall you have. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. So here's a very clear example of what is equal, right, and fair. If it does not fall into this working definition using the scriptures, obviously it's inequality. But we like to establish things with 2 or 3 witnesses. So the second witness I'm going to use is in the book of Yaakov, which is James 2, verse 1. And that goes as follows. My Israelite brothers, have not the faith in our master Yahushua HaMashiach, the master of righteousness, with partiality, which is a word I'm going to use in reference later on in the day, but I'm using this as a supporting piece because in different translations it show no partiality as you hold the faith. Why? Because if we're supposed to be keeping this one book, which has a very defined set of guidelines and rules and way of living, if you're living it out to the best of your abilities, and I'm living it out to the best of our abilities, I shouldn't be impartial. I should be using this as my guideline to keep things, of course, fair. But today's teaching is not about equality. Today's about inequality and the value in it. And I want to go over a story in the Bible that I've read again after a long time of not reading it, and it was the inspiration for today's teaching. And that story can be found, or not story, account, can be found in 2 Samuel chapter 6, and we're going to read the first couple verses. And this is a very, very, very interesting story, or account, excuse me, once again, in the first covenant. And I'm going to read it for you guys. And it goes as follows. Again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baali of Yehuda to bring up from there the ark of Yahuwah, or Elohim, whose name is called by the name of Yahuwah Sebaot, that dwells between the cherubim, between the angel wings. The angels, better said. And they set the ark of Yahuwah, or Elohim, upon a new cart and brought it out of the Bait of Abnadab that was in Givat. And Uzziah and Achyo, the sons of Avinadab, drove the new cart. And they brought it out of the Bait, or the household of Avinadab that was at Givat, accompanying the ark of Eloha. And Achyo went before the ark. And Dawid and all Beit Israel, the house of Israel, played and danced before Yahuwah on all kinds of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps and on palistries and on tambourines and on cornets and on cymbals. So clearly right now they're having a good time. They're moving the ark. This is a happy moment. There's nothing going on here that perceived to be bad or anything going on. It's a great time, right? Verse 6 of 2 Samuel chapter 6. And when they came to Nacon's threshing floor, Uzziah put forth his hand to the ark of Elohim and took hold of it, for the ox had broken loose from the harness. So again, this is being pulled forward by the animals, the ox. So this individual, Uzziah, try to put his hand, obviously, before it falls or before it's stirred. Verse 7, this is where the crux of this teaching comes from. And the anger of Yahuwah was lit against Uzziah, and Elohim smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of Elohim. So, because he touched the ark, he died. Let's continue reading. And Dawid was displeased because Yahuwah had made a breach upon Uzziah, and he called the name of the place Peretz Uzzah to this yom. And Dawid was afraid of Yahuwah that yom, and said, how shall the ark of Yahuwah come to me? So Dawid would not remove the ark of Yahuwah to him until the city of Dawid, but Dawid carried it into the Bait of Oved Edom the Gedite. So, and we'll keep reading how they found someone to move the ark, and they did sacrifices and offerings. But David was afraid. They went from this beautiful moment of singing music, playing instruments, being in shalom, for lack of better words. The oxen that was carrying the ark, or pulling the trolley to have the ark, obviously breaks loose. Someone, a brother, being there, not wanting the ark to fall on the ground, stops it with his hand. He reaches out, as the scripture says. Yahuwah gets mad against that gentleman, calls it an error, and smites him. Now, if you read that, that seems to be one, a very strong reaction to the individual's action to stop the ark from falling. And two, it seems very unfair. And it only gets more amplified when David sees this action, and David is scared. As it says here in verse 9. Even named the place after his fear. So, with that being said, it's one of those things of, if you're someone who is still learning about Torah, still learning about the ways of Yahuwah, and let's say you come from a Christian background, and obviously, as the old adage goes, the old covenant God and the new covenant God are the same God. This is one of those examples, because it appears, at the very least, that Yahuwah of Shmuel Bet is a very, 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 very Zeus-like God, where, he did this thing, immediate repercussion. Where is the quote-unquote grace? Where's the forgiveness? Where's the room for error, as one would say? Let's talk about that. Let's go to I'm gonna build a case, and then I'm gonna get back to 2 Samuel. So the first place we're gonna start is Galatians. chapter 6, verse 7. Because again, it's a lot easier to explain something in parts versus giving you the chunk of it and then breaking it down. So in Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, it reads as follows. Be not deceived. Elohim is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. Why do I start here with why there's value in inequality after reading the story in Shmuel Bet? If you know a little bit of your Torah history, the group that predominantly moved and and engaged with the Ark of the Covenant with the Levites, or the sons of Aaron that later became the tribe of Levi. These are the priests of the time, and that was their sole responsibility to take care of the things of Yahuwah, the service, attend to the service of Yahuwah. Obviously, one of those items in the service is the Ark of the Covenant. So it's easy for me to tell you, oh, Uzziah wasn't a Levi, that's why he died. Again, that sounds still like inequality, because one can take and say, well, if I don't do something the way Yahuwah says for me to do it, I'm going to sow death. I'm going to sow punishment. Even though my intentions and my actions, based on my intentions, are good. But, using Galatians 6:7 as my starting point for this argument I'm building, Yahuwah is not mocked. And he's not deceived. But it says, do not be deceived. What you sow is what you reap. Good intentions does not mean it's good for the actual situation. Good intentions are just that. Intentions that are good. And now we can argue good on what stance. What standard are we basing this good on? And that's the next part. Let's jump to Romans chapter 8, verse 18. For I am sure that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. So here, Rav Shaul is clearly defining that despite what you're going through, the inequality, the sufferings, the word he used, which is a fantastic word, it doesn't compare to the what will be the prize at the end of all this. So I mentioned earlier about good intentions. Doing something that's told based on scriptures should be the foundation of why you do something. Even if it goes against what is your initial, oh, but I'm doing this because I know it's the right thing to do or the good thing to do based on what society has taught you. And again, I'm not here to debate the legitimacy of these things. I'm just simply trying to ascertain we ought to be careful about what we do because our actions, even in the situations that are unfair to us, are still counted against us. And it will be a suffering for us. It will be a suffering. So if you find yourself thinking that keeping Torah seems to put you in a disadvantaged situation, that's part of the suffering. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I know what Torah says, but blah, 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 and I'm trying to do the right thing by them. And then they get mad when Yahuwah puts them in a worse bind than before. You sow what you reap. But let's keep building this. Chapter 6 of Luke, verse 27. And that goes as follows. But I say to you who hear, key phrase, who hear, love your enemies, do good to them who hate you, And it keeps going, blessed them that curse you and all that. Why? Who are the people that are going to put you in the most unequal or unfair position? Are the people you hate, or the people at least that you dislike. Why do we say this? Because anyone that opposes you or anyone that puts up resistance against you, there is a natural desire to have animosity towards this person. There is a natural response that says, well, this person is making it hard for me to do what I believe to be the right thing or the good thing, regardless of scripture. A good example of this is if you're a young man and you go to your pastor and you say, I like this girl and I really want to sleep with her. I really want to sleep. She's gorgeous. I have desires for her. And your pastor says, fantastic. Marry her, make her a wife, and have your way so that you and this woman can be in a blessed and sanctified union. And then you say, well, I don't know if I'm ready for that type of commitment. My intentions are, though, after we sleep around and all that we'll get married one day. That's my intentions. I'll do good. And that may very much so be the truth. But what are you sowing here? Now, depending on the person, you may be mad at the pastor for giving you this advice. You might get mad at that woman's parents that says, hey, don't lay down with my daughter. Please marry her. You think these are all opposition. You think all these people are against you. So now the natural response is to hate them. Again, this is a very surface level example, but it's an example I know many people go through. Because we live in a society, we live in a time where anything that goes against what we feel is due to us and is not given to us within our acceptable time limit, it makes it an opposition. It's against me, woe is me. That is your inequality. And unfortunately, that puts you in a situation where you don't value what's going on, because instead of learning from this situation that you yourself put yourself in so you can come out on the other half better, you dig yourself deeper and deeper into this self-pity hole, because now you're saying, woe is me. You're not looking for fairness. You're just looking for your intentions to be justified. Let's continue. The book of Hebrews, or Ivrim, chapter 6, verse 10. If you have any questions, stop me. Thank you. The book of Hebrews, or Ivrim, chapter 6, verse 10 goes as follows. For Yahuwah is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of Ahava, key distinction, which you have shown towards his name, in that you have served the Israelite Kiddishim and still do serve them. So, past and present. So, I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm sure this applies to a lot of people. I know when I was a younger man, I'm still a young man, I had a lot of contention with leadership, particularly leadership at our former congregation. Not because they were bad people, or better people than me, to be honest. However, I didn't approve of a lot of the way things were ran, particularly when it came to personnel management, or HR. And I believe that was causing a lot of division and, unfortunately, a lot of unnecessary headaches and hassle. However, instead of trying to invest myself more into the congregation, praying for the leadership, doing the right thing according to scriptures, I was looking for other ways to help in my own way, because I had good intentions. And the iniquity that I believe was there instead of being shrank, it only amplified. And unfortunately, things didn't go exactly the way I intended. And, we are what we are today. I'm telling you this as someone who has learned from the iniquity because I miss those people. To me, they were family that I needed, especially given my transition. And it pains me that when we do certain holidays, we're not with them. Now, I'm simplifying a very big thing, but I know I played my part. And my part wasn't through the will of Yahuwah. It was my own intentions that created my inequality. And I didn't see the value in that inequality and learn from that so I could be a better person until much later. Now I'm applying those skills here in this congregation, and I'm doing my best in consistency to serve you guys, from Bible studies to hosting Shabbats to helping them in the Moeds to engaging with people on individual levels, reaching out, going to the streets and recruiting people. I'm doing this now after I've been through the inequality. But let's keep going. We're going to jump over to the book of Psalms, chapter 37. We're going to read some of that psalm. This is a very popular psalm, so some of y'all know it by heart. And to those, congratulations. I'm proud of you. Starting in verse 1 of 37. Do not be moved because of evildoers, neither be envious against the workers of iniquity. That's how we start. So, you know how this reflects? How does this person have so much success in work, so much love in their house, so many friends in their social network, but they don't believe in Yahuwah? They don't keep Torah. I see all these things that look like prosperity, that are by measurable quantities is prosperity. And yet here I am, facing what in comparison is unfair. Where is the equal weights and measures that we read in Leviticus 19? It says don't be moved by that. Continue. Verse 2, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in Yahuwah and do tov, so shall you dwell in the land, and truly you will be fed. Delight yourself in Yahuwah, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. When you're going through inequality, do you think about the things that you want? Or do you find yourself seeking after the things you need to resolve the inequality? If we're having an honest conversation, many of us, putting example pen to paper, oh, my husband doesn't listen to me. I'm tired of communicating and it going nowhere. Yahuwah, please open my husband's ears. Yahuwah, please give me the words to talk to my husband. Yahuwah, please, give me the wisdom to engage every time I engage my husband. You're trying to find the answer to that current problem. You're not asking your heart's desire, which is typically, if we're having an honest conversation, how can I be better? What can I do to improve? Give me the ability to change life, be it financially, spiritually, emotionally, socially. But you're so caught up in the iniquity, or the equality, and the workers of iniquity in that case, that you don't even think beyond what they're doing. You're moved by that when you're asked not to. And you don't focus on the heart's desire that Yahuwah will reward. Because if the spirit and the heart are linked up, your heart's desires are the things of Yahuwah. Community, commandment keeping, oath keeping, being better as a collective, progressing as a collective. Yes, my son. The things that we do to put ourselves closer to the Shekhinah, or the presence of Abba Yahuwah. We don't do that. Instead, unfortunately, again, we try to resolve the issue that we currently face using the example of communication. Let's keep reading. Verse 5. Commit your halakha, or your way, to Yahuwah. Trust in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Commit your way. How many of us have done that? Honestly, earnestly done that. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you participate in is to Yahuwah. I know it's difficult. I know it's not obviously the politically correct thing to do nowadays, especially with all the nonsense that's going on support-wise. But we're supposed to commit ourselves. And I would argue, because we don't commit ourselves in our way to Yahuwah, we create more and more and more moments of inequality. More and more moments where we say, damn, Yahuwah, you are very judgmental. You make my life harder. You make my walk with you harder than when it was in the time in the church, my time in Judaism, my time in the Muslim or Islamic faith, my time in insert religion. The minute I come to Torah, I feel like my fortune has changed. A lot of people have that conversation, both either publicly or privately. That conversation is had, and that shouldn't be the case. Let's keep reading. Cease from anger, verse 8, and forsake anger. Do not be moved by any means to do evil. So it says stop being angry and then forsake it. By raise a hand, how many of us are quick to get upset? Quick to show and display anger. And instead of forsaking it, we embrace it. And then we get upset because, oh, I'm only acting out for insert reason in anger because the iniquity or the equality that you face. Not realizing that you put yourself there. Maybe not directly all the time, but indirectly. So, how often are you stopping yourself from anger? The answer is often. Fantastic. Now, how often are you forsaking anger? So if we're going to take this on a slightly deeper level, anger is a spirit. The spirit of anger is a real strong spirit that unfortunately is integral to a lot of what we call the human experience. Because anger is very raw. People say, oh, that's just me being, me. But is it? If Yahuwah says, cease from it, can't be something of you. And if you have to forsake it, it shouldn't even be part of who you are. Now, obviously, easier said than done because a lot of things are frustrating or infuriating. And I can sit here from my cozy home and tell you, don't be angry. But I understand what life does. I do. So I encourage you, if you find yourself in anger because of an unfairness that you face, before you continue in that, pause, even for just a moment, and ask, what is Yahuwah trying to teach me? What is the value in this moment? What is the sermon to my life that this situation is presenting itself to me? Because if you're just going to continue in anger, you're going to continue down the same road as folly. That will lead to death. Verse 9, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon Yahuwah, they shall inherit the earth. Verse 10, for yet a little while, and the wicked shall be no more. Yes, you shall diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth. This is where Yahusha gets the quote from. And shall delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. The wicked plots against the righteous and gnashes at him with his teeth. Verse 13. Yahuwah shall laugh at him, for he sees that his day of judgment is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay those of righteous behavior. Again, remember what I said earlier about praying for those? I will read the scripture. I believe that was Romans, I believe. No, sorry, Luke. Yes, Luke 26, 6, 26, 27, excuse me, 28. But these people have their day in court, as they say. You going through this inequality are building your case of why you shall inherit a positive judgment, a good judgment, eternal life with Yahuwah. The people or the things that are causing the inequality that are not you, are being true opposition. Learn from the situation. Learn from them. Become better from it. Because their day in court is coming. And their judgment has been cast. Their story ends with, and they were wiped out. Your story, if you keep and commit your way to Yahuwah, is, and this was a 12th generation. And this person begot this person, and they kept Torah and was a 12th generation. So on and so forth and so be. That's what you want your story. But that's never going to happen if you don't cease from things that cause you to be angry. Because that is yet another situation that puts you in a moment of inequality. Not to beat a dead horse, let's continue. The book of James, chapter 5, verse 4. Behold, the wages of the laborers who have reaped your fields, that you hold back fraud, cries, and the cries of those who have reaped have entered into the eyes of the Master Yahuwah Sevaot. I know I'm not alone when I say, how often do we say, damn, I work really hard, and yeah, I don't make as much money as the next guy. I feel like I work 80 hours and that person gets paid my wage. How often do we find ourselves pocket watching, as the slang would be? How often do we find ourselves complaining? I don't want to use that word, complaining for more provisions, financial provisions, of course, regardless of what's going on, regardless of circumstance, regardless of the situation you find yourself in. Why am I bringing this up? We know in the account of the patriarch Yaakov, Jacob, we have an individual that went and worked 7 years for a woman that will be his wife, was deceived and was given a different woman, her sister, but deceived of the same. And instead of lashing out, instead of using that an equality moment or that moment of inequality and justifying anger and retaliation, used that opportunity to edify himself and give esteem to Yahuwah, and took the woman and obviously worked another 7 years for the woman he actually intended to have. And Yahuwah blessed him. And I've made the remark in the past of, I know we say we love our partners that we've chosen to obviously wed, and depending on your vows, some of us, Leolam Ved is the way we ended it. However, would you work 7 years for your present day wife or husband? Now, would you do it again if you were deceived? For many people, if they're having an honest conversation, they would not even work the first 7. Thank you much. They wouldn't even work the first 7 for their significant other, let alone 14. And definitely not as a servant to somebody, because a lot of people have problems with authority anyways. So, again, when you find yourself in these moments where you are essentially complaining, take the moment to think about the inequality that you perceive and ask, have I dedicated my way to Yahuwah? Have I shown my desires to Him in prayer? Are they aligned with the things of Yahuwah? The things that edify myself, the community, and bring glory and esteem? Am I learning as an individual so I can become a better version of myself? Am I praying for those that are causing my inequality, or being my, or better said, my opposers / opposition? Ask yourself all these questions and write yourself a little checklist. Because if the answer is no, perhaps there might be something you're missing that's preventing you from a blessing, preventing you from a revelation, preventing you from achieving what is that next step in your progressive walk. Because again, if you're walking in Torah, despite the inequality that you believe you're facing, transitioning from a different situation or a different background, you should never be stagnant. You should learn something from year to year, Moed to Moed, Shabbat to Shabbat. Even if it's just one thing, you should be one thing better, one thing more proficient, one thing more accountable for. Let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 13. We're going to read the first 7 verses. And my voice is much. Let every Israelite brother be subject to civil governing powers. For there is no power but from Yahuwah. The civil powers that exist are ordained of Yahuwah. My.
It was Romans
13, verses 1 through 7.
1 through 7.
It's okay. I can't tell you how many people have beef with this verse or are breaking this verse without knowing. Now, to avoid politics, I'm not going to mention any names or party affiliations or political ideals. But we do have situations where people show a lack of respect for authority. And I've always said that is one of the many false inequalities that we think we have in America, let alone the world. Are there corrupt individuals in government? 1,000%. Are there people that don't have our best intentions at heart? 1,000%. People that are there for themselves and the money that can be procured? 1,000%. With that all being said, there is a standard. There is a responsibility for you to be a model citizen. I'll leave it at that. Verse 2. Whoever therefore resists the civil power resists the ordained institution of Yahuwah. And they that resist shall receive judgment on themselves. Verse 3. For civil judges are not a menace to good commandment keeping, but to cause men to fear doing evil. Will you then not be afraid of the authorities? Do that which is good, and you shall have praise from the same authorities. Now, again, I mentioned not 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, the be a good citizen, and even before that, learning from the inequality. This is an culminate. This moment that we're referring to in verse 4 of Romans 13 is a culmination. Because if you're keeping Torah and you're learning from all the moments and situations of inequality, this is one of the many values that you receive. You will receive praise because you're always going to be a person in right ruling standing. You're always going to be a model example. You're always going to be the person that you point to and one says, that is a good person. Or as many have boiled it down, this is a good Samaritan. So if you keep Torah 99 out of 100 times, you're going to find yourself in most modern societies, and even back in the day, because this is clearly written about time before ours, in the camp of that's a good citizen, that's a righteous man or woman. Verse 5, therefore we must be subject, not only for the fear of wrath, but also because of our consciousness. Verse 6, for this cause pay taxes also, for they are Yahuwah's instruments, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tax to whom tax is due, custom to whom custom, and reverence to whom reverence is due, honor to whom honor is due. And I'm going to read verse 8 as well to tie up the point. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loves another has fulfilled the Torah. Now you would say to me reading this, okay, people I gotta respect, cool, give respect, give honor to those I gotta respect, great, respect my president and governors, awesome, my husband and the household, cool. But it says, owe no man anything but love one another. I'm going to talk about something that I know is uncomfortable for many believers, but it's an important conversation. Quite frankly, too many of us are broke. Too many of us are in an unfair position because of very poor financial decisions. Oh, I can't keep Passover this year. Or I can't do Sukkot this year. Or I can't take a day off. Well, there's a reason for that. And one of the many inequalities that we face is poverty. Now, we can have a long conversation, and yes, there'll always be poor among Israel, yes. But poor among doesn't mean everyone is poor. Because there has to be the majority to support those that are poor. Because it takes a lot to support poverty. To install programs to help the fatherless, the widows, those that are oppressed, the sojourners that come, to host the service of Yahuwah. It's not cheap. Never been cheap. Never will be cheap. It costs something, even if it's late. So, with that being said, owing no man anything is truly a commandment that many of us fail. Many of us fail. And because of that, we find ourselves in a lot of situations where we are now hampered as individuals. And then we say to Yahuwah, woe is me. But if we're being completely honest, what exactly are you praying for? You put yourself there. Now you can say, okay, Yahuwah, he put this in my life so I can evolve. Great. If you can see that, then you need to be able to perceive the inequality, take the value, extract that, and better yourself. So you no longer remain there. And I've heard it been said by many people, many of those better than me, greater men than me. You can solve a lot of problems with a smile and a good bank account. Now, how true that is in practicality, I don't know. But I have seen where being able to have the means to do something and the right attitude takes you very far in life. And many of us lack one or the other, and unfortunately, some of us both. So you can't get mad at the hand dealt if you put yourself there. And if you say you didn't put yourself there, let's say you just put a situation just out of your control, learn through this inequality, so you can come out on the other side and be a testimony to esteem the things of Yahuwah. I'll leave it there. Now let's go jump back to 2 Samuel, chapter 6, about the story that we started off today's teaching about. To recap a little bit, like I said, I wanted to show you what Scripture shows about what fairness is, and then different verses about what to do when you find yourself in an unfair situation or facing inequality. And there's more verses I had. I didn't want to go through the entire gambit. I just wanted to lay the table down for you guys, because there's something that has to be said for conviction. There's something that has to be said for, as the scripture says, doing tov for the sake of it. Many of us lose the faith because we find ourselves in inequality. Many of us lose our vigor, our fire, because of something that happens that we deem to be unfair. So because it's unfair, we quit. And that should not be the case for any believer. And it's sad to say that many of us fall short of the glory, not because we lack the ability to be righteous, but because we lack the perseverance to attain it. And in those shortcomings, instead of trying to regain this righteousness so we can align ourselves back with Yahuwah and put back ourselves in the presence of Yahuwah, we just complain about the iniquity, or the inequality, or the doer of the iniquity. Let me ask you this question. What does complaining do for you? What does staying stagnant do for you? You know, one of the best earthly sayings is doing the same thing but expecting a different result is a clear definition of insanity. What are you doing in your moments of iniquity or inequality to change the next set of events? Or are you just still complaining and then mad that nothing has changed? Going through the example set that I have as a note to myself, I have a couple things that I want us to consider. If you're lacking money, what have you done to change that? Have you sought new employment? Have you tried to get a raise? Have you tried to be promoted in your workplace? Have you tried to get a second or third job depending on your schedule? Have you tried to start a business? Have you thought about investing? Have you thought about partnering with brothers and sisters in the faith to do some of the things I just mentioned? Or have you just said that you're broke, can't do nothing, and stayed in that defeated state of mind? You decide for yourself. For those who say, I want a better relationship, have you sought counselship? Have you been in communications with those that you deem to be appropriate relationship models? Have you read books, listened to podcasts, listened to audio commentaries on things to do, watch shows, movies, speak about the things that you feel can do better for your partner with said partner or partners if you find yourself in that circumstance? Have you done these things? Or have you just said, oh, I am who I am and my partner just has to accept me for who I am? Or, oh, I tried and nothing worked out, so that's it. How to do better. You have to learn from that moment of equality. For those who have kids that don't listen to them, or a family that's not as close as they want to, have you done family events? Was the last time you took your kids on vacation? Was the last time you showed any interest in your kids' passions, hobbies, things they find pleasure in? Was the last time you spoke to your kids more than just how school, what's your grades, did you eat by? Or are you on just autopilot where you just gotta give the bare essentials and then expect your kids to love you more than the bare minimum? Again, insanity. You're expecting different things, and going to the scriptures, you're sowing what you reap. Minimal effort only gets minimal rewards. That isn't everything in life. Now, tying that all together, you see another brother and sister that's doing better than you money wise, doing better than you relationship wise, doing better than you family structure or social network wise. And then you get jealous. Then you get upset. Then you start comparing. Then you start tearing that person down, nitpicking. Where's the edification? Where's the glory? Where's the value that you're learning from the parody? No, you rather just talk about it and say, well, good for them. I guess it must be nice on that side. Not realizing that you could be there too. And the adjustments are right in front of you in the inequality. You just have to learn. How do I know this? Going back, we read, like I said, 2 Samuel 6. We read the first 9 verses. Sorry, 10 verses. I'm going to read until I'm going to finish the chapter, but it's going to be from verses 11 to 23. And the ark of Yahuwah continued in the Bait of Oved Edom the Gittite 3 months. And Yahuwah blessed Oved Edom and his entire household. And it was told Melech David, saying, Yahuwah has blessed the Bait of Oved Edom and all that pertains to him because of the ark of Eloha. So David went and brought up the ark of Eloha from the Bait of Oved Edom into the city of David with joy, simcha. Now, 2 verses ago, we just lost a brother because he tried to save the ark. Now, this brother who just had the ark in his house, chilling, was directly blessed by you. You could say, oh, well, that's further inequality because how is this person doing the right thing killed, but this person for doing absolutely nothing or minimal effort is being so esteemed? Let's keep reading. And it was so that when they bore the ark of Yahuwah had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before Yahuwah with all his might. And David was girded with a linen shoulder garment. So David and Kol Beit Israel brought up the ark of Yahuwah with shouting and with the sound of the shofar. And the ark of Yahuwah came into the city of David. Milcah, Shaul's daughter, looked through a window and saw Melech David leaping and dancing before Yahuwah. And she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of Yahuwah. You imagine that you just hanging, having a good time, and someone sees you, they hate your guts. People. And they brought in the ark of Yahuwah and set it in his place in the midst of the tent that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahuwah. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Yahuwah Shevaot. So clearly David was a priest, as you guys can see. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel. To each one, both women and men, he gave a container of wine, a good piece of meat, and a fine loaf of bread. So all the people departed, every one to his household. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and Israel. And said, "How beautiful was the Melech of Israel today, who uncovered himself in the eyes of the female servants, as one of the Haseds shamelessly uncovered himself." And David said to Michal, "It was before Yahuwah, who chose me before your father and before all his household, to appoint me ruler over the people of Yahuwah, over Israel. Therefore I will play before Yahuwah, and I will yet be more abased than this, and will be based in my own sight, and of the female servants that you have spoken of, from them shall have honor." Therefore Milcah, the daughter of Shaul, had no child to the day of her death.
Damn.
So why do I keep reading this story? That seems like unfair treatment. She made one comment.
She didn't even make a comment.
Well, she did make a comment in verse 16. She made a comment, and then she continued in her comment, and then she was pretty much her womb, dried up, as they say. What do I say this? In the first half, we had a brother who was trying to do the right thing because of his good intentions and was punished for that. In the middle portion, we had a brother who just stood still, listened to an order, and let something stay in his house for 3 months, and Yahuwah blessed him. And he got his name brought all the way up to the king of Israel. Then, on the last portion of the story, we have someone who, seeing someone doing well and in a good spirit, hated them. And because of that, caused themselves to be forever damned. Because obviously a woman who can't conceive is probably one of the worst curses you could put on somebody. And it wasn't even that David put on her. He just retorted, and Yahuwah closed up her womb to her death. So what am I saying with this chapter? What am I saying with today's teaching? What am I saying with today's message in regards to the value of inequality? Is it easier to mope and complain? Yes. Is it easier to say, well, back when I was insert denomination, life was a lot easier because I didn't have all these responsibilities? Is it more convenient to say that, oh, I'm going to follow Yahuwah as long as it doesn't interfere with X, Y, and Z? Yes. But just because it's convenient or easier doesn't make it right. Your good intentions, or what some people say, what felt right in the moment, is just that. Your good intentions. And oftentimes they're not based on anything actually good. At the end of the day, the arbiter of good and evil is Yahuwah. He determines what's good. He determines what's evil. Not us. We're creation, not the creator. So, again, I want you to do a little bit of homework today. Well, not today, today Shabbat. Tomorrow. Ask yourself, am I in a situation that I feel is unfair? If the answer is yes, ask yourself, is it because I hate my enemy? Or the person who's doing it to me? That's causing this inequality. Be it bosses, friends, people that are above you in leadership. Start praying for them. If it's because you don't find yourself in a situation that you believe that you deserve to be in, ask yourself, have I dedicated my ways to the ways of Yahuwah? Have I aligned myself with Him? If the answer is no, get back to it. If you find yourself, you want to be in a better situation with your loved ones, or those that you care about, or those that you want to care about. Ask yourself, am I doing things today that, as I sow, will reap me my intended desires of my heart for tomorrow? If the answer is no, start doing that. Because Yahuwah's not going to do it for you. Yahuwah has never done it for you. He has rewarded those who use conviction, learn from the folly, learn from the inequality, and then put it to work. And that fusion of things obviously earns a net result that most of the time is very tough. So, if nothing else, evaluate. Where am I in life? Where do I want to be in life? And what do I have to do to get there? And write that down. And as we go through Bible studies and through Shabbats and Moeds and seasons, challenge yourself and be honest. Have I done the things on this piece of paper or on my phone that I wrote down? Have I tackled these things? Have I challenged myself to tackle these things and be better? Because if the answer is no, don't complain. You are your own generator of inequality, and you're not learning from the value that it provides. You are, in essence, your own jail warden. Don't get mad at the jail cell. With that, again, I apologize for today's start. We had some technical difficulty, and that's 100% on me. But I hope today's short message was insightful and fruitful for you. And if it wasn't, let me know so I can do better myself for you. And obviously, in my service to the people of Yehovah. For those who want to celebrate, tomorrow is the Day of Fathers. So if you obviously have someone in your life that you consider a father figure and you love, go give them a hug and a kiss. I feel like we don't appreciate fathers enough in America anyways, or in the world. So if you want to do that, I encourage you, implore you. If not, obviously have a blessed rest of your weekend. We look forward to meeting you guys again on Monday's Bible study. And with that, enjoy the rest of the Shabbat. The service is over, but the day of Shabbat is done. With that, we love and care for you, and as always, keep reading your Bibles.